real quick before we start, I wanted to say that this is a list that I took to a tournament that I played 7 rounds in. And so if you guys want to see me re-upload those to YouTube, please consider hitting a like. If we hit 50 likes on this video, I'll re-upload them with editing to make it so it's just each match and nothing in between, so you guys can enjoy it. It's a lot of work to do that, so I just want to make sure you guys want to see that before I do the work, and that'll be it. So I hope you enjoy the list. Hey everyone, Egman here with another video, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite leaders, definitely my favorite Wish leader. It is the Cheelai and Limo Wish leader we have right here. This is an old leader, it's been around for a while, but I've loved it for a very long time, and honestly one of the first, I'd say, like big tournament tops I got was with this leader, which is really cool. And it's just always had a really special spot in my heart because of it. And also, it's an old type of leader. We don't see any Wish leaders. We got the Meki Kurba, but he's kind of his own kind of thing, honestly. And we haven't really seen some Wish leaders for a long time. It got 1 card of support with the new Champ Pack 2020 Volume 2s, which was super weird, but totally worth it for me. I really liked it. And we're going to talk about a list that I took to PPG. I ended up going 4 and 3. We'll talk about the matchups a little bit more. And I will say, 2 of the losses for this deck are just honestly an auto loss for this deck. Unfortunately, we'll talk about it, but I think if they maybe do something to address it, I think this is definitely might it viable, and it still is. But just the way that this one archetype and this one matchup is it's very tough for how at least this version of the deck performs and how it's like. But let's go into it. So what does this leader say? So permanent, you can't add cards from your life to your hand during your turn except for this card's skill. So you can't self-awaken, which is weird, but fine. If you know the original archetype this leader was built for, it'd make a little bit more sense. We also have an active main once per turn. Choose up to 1 Dragon Ball from your deck or life, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. Or any areas you look through. So if you look through your life or anything. This is like one of the best leaders for Wish just because of this one, because most Wish leaders we have the Dragon Balls where they just tap themselves and you're able to draw 2, essentially get 2 Dragon Balls with it, but the leader can't swing. Or we have ones that they can swing, but they get the Dragon Balls when they swing. And if you're going turn first, first turn, you just are behind the curve on Awakening. So being able to have this activate main that you can do on your first turn is huge for this list. And it also means you don't have to swing to get card advantage, which is not as much of a thing anymore. But you don't have to pressure your opponent's life, and it can kind of you have to have your opponent self-awaken themselves at times too. And then, so if you don't know how Wish leaders work too, so Wish, if there's 7 Dragon Ball cards in your drop area, choose up to 1 one Broly BR card from your drop area, add it to your hand, then flip this card over. So that's how it does it, which is kind of sucks if you can't awaken early, because if you're playing against an aggressive deck, they can hit you very hard, very fast, and you can't even awaken, which kind of sucks. But I feel like that's not as much of an issue nowadays. So we have that, and then on the Awaken side, also, we don't have a lot of Broly BRs. I wish it was either Desire or a Dragon Ball, because we know we're going to probably have one of those in our drop areas, but it's fine. It's not a huge deal. And then on the other side, so permanent, you can't add cards from your life to your hand during your turn. Active main, you can choose one of these skills once per turn. You can either draw 1 card, which is fine. You get to choose 1 green or black Desire card in your hand with an energy cost less than or equal to your current energy and activate its activate main skill. So if you have 2 energy, it doesn't matter if they're open or if they're suspended or unsuspended or anything like that. They're tapped, untapped. You can still play it for free. You can only do that once per turn though. And then also we have remove 7 Dragon Balls from your drop area from the game. If you do, choose up to 2 Frieza army cards at any cost of 2 or less from your deck and play them. Then shuffle your deck, flip this card over at the end of the turn. So this last one actually has some value. It just means that you get a bunch of card advantage at the end that you can use, which can be very helpful. And yeah, this leader is mostly more of just the best part about it is the name and the color for it. It has a lot of things. It also has the Frieza army, so when you could run it green, yellow, and run 4 Cold Bloodlust, this is a good leader for that too. It was a lot of fun. But that's the leader there, and we're going to talk about the cards that are in this deck itself. All right, so first you got to run Dragon Balls. We are running exactly 6 Dragon Balls of the regular kind. I'm going to flash out these shiny ones because I got them. They're really nice. And it's just, if you don't know what this card does, you pitch it to draw a card. So it's free cycle. Last time I played this list, or Cheelai Lima in general, you had a hard 50 cap on your cards. So having to, right now we can have like 50 to 60s, which is nice. So this list right now is 54 cards, which I think is right around the right spot. You want to be able to have not a lot of Dragon Balls in your life. 0 is always the best. And then also, but you want to be able to find your pieces for your turns too. And we're also running one star ball. This is my own choice, but I think for what the deck is doing and what we're kind of a more kind of hand control kind of deck, 1 star ball just makes a lot of sense for this deck, especially since we don't really have anything we're doing turn 1. So being able to just find this with our leader every time and just say, okay, we have a 1 star ball, 1 turn, always, just so you just tap your energy and then you can put your stuff in your drop area, which is fine for this deck to do so. And there we go. So that's the idea there. And now with some of the new support, we're able to awaken on turn 2. We're going to talk about that combo real quick. So we got this new desire, and by new I mean new as of the anniversary box last year. But it's permanent this game desire, so that you can use it you can do it for free on the backside. Activate if your leader card is a Cheelai Limo card and you choose 1 card in your hand, discard it. You can choose 1 to either 1 if you have no cards in your battle area. Play up to 1 green Brolys BR card with a cost of 4 from your deck, and up to 1 green Cheelai BR or Limo BR card from your deck, then shuffle your deck. So this card oozes value. This is like the best card for this leader right now. It is the reason why you want to play this leader. So we'll talk about that too. And just before we do, we'll talk about the targets for it and we got there. So we got 3 and a 4th one hiding away somewhere. It's probably at the bottom of this one. Yeah, there it is. All right, you got 4 of these guys, and then 4 of these Cheelai and Limos as well. So these came in the same anniversary box here, but these have a deflect 2-drop, and then if your leader card is a green Shenron card, when this card is played, choose up to 1, place up to 2 cards with Dragon Ball skills from your deck and your drop area, shuffle your deck, then draw 1 card, or add up to 1 green desire card from your drop area to your hand. Both these are really good. The first effect is the better one for most cases, but I have used it to add desires back if needed, so that's kind of nice there. And then we also have this big brand new boy. This just came out. He was a little tricky to find in the first week, but we got there. With special thanks to Yomy and also Kipp for getting these, especially Kipp, just because he went down to a tournament, like a large store regional, and he went all the way down there to get the Brolys for it. Or he went to compete and he got a Broly, and so I had to meet him at like noon or midnight, at like the day of. He was tired and exhausted, but he got this for me, so I really appreciate him getting this and letting me use it. It's been super nice and helpful for just being in the deck. Energy Exhaust auto. When this card is played, up to 2 cards with Dragon Ball from your deck or drop area to your hand, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. This card's just insane. It's just being able to say, okay, cool. You get this helps you self-awaken, which is great early game, but the fact that it has the part at the end that says from your deck or drop area means that if you play this later in the tournament, later in the day where you've already awakened your leader, you're able to draw 2 more cards. Just playing this card lets you draw 2 cards, and you can play this card for 2 energy, right? It's insane. Or free energy as long as you have your Cheelai and Limo. It's a lot of value and can help you out. And you can get 1-star balls back too. So if you need to hand destruct your opponent, that's also an option. It's just very good. I really like the idea for it. It just helps you out a whole lot. It also has a red-green that we don't use this in this deck, but if you do want to do it, if you have 3 or more energy, choose up to 1 of your red Broly BR cards in a cost of 5 and evolve in your hand or evolve on top of this card in active mode. So if you want to run the package with the 5-drop from the expansion set from like 2 years ago, you totally can. But I think this is just super good for awakening this leader. It's definitely what you need. It's the only Broly we have in the deck too. So if you open them, if you get one in your early turns, it's not necessarily a brick, because you can use either allied reinforcements or 1-star ball to get out of your hand to your drop area, and then when you awaken, you're able to get one back to your hand. So it's just like even if it sucks that it's in your hand, because this only plays from deck, you are able to get some value, like just a free +1 from it, even if it's just in your hand. So that's kind of nice. So that's the idea. And if you guys want to see how you can awaken on turn 2 with this, we'll just quickly do it. It's pretty guaranteed most of the time. I'd say that the biggest thing is finding this allied reinforcement. So you want to have not a lot of Dragon Balls in your life, and you also want to make sure that you have enough of the allied reinforcement. You find one in turn 2 essentially, right? That's the idea there. But after that, it's pretty easy to do, and you also need to get all 7, but normally, like, you have 6 guaranteed. So the idea is that turn 1, use this effect to find one, done. And then after that, on turn 2, you find another one with your leader, and then you play the allied reinforcements. You're able to get these 2 out. This one puts 2 into your drop area to let you draw 1, and then this one lets you pick 2 more from your deck, so that's 6. So which just super easy, you get 6 there. So as long as you find 1 more, which you're cycling and everything else that's going on, it's almost always a thing. And I think it's very consistent for what's going for it, and it helps the deck out. You have to tap out turn 2, but then if you are able to do it, which you mostly are, you're able to be a 15k with on the Awakened side, and then also 15 on the Awakened side. You get to draw an extra card for doing it too, because you can activate the main and go from there. I think and I'll talk about this real quick too while we're here. The hardest thing about this deck, and I think the only thing that's really keeping it from being super duper good, is the fact that this card needs you to have no cards in your board, and we have the new King Vegeta archetype that puts cards onto your board, which means your board's not empty, and you can't use this card. It's just the worst thing about it. And it'd be the only thing that keeps me from playing that, is that one matchup. There's also Android 21. They give you clone tokens, and I think that's fine. Android 21's not very popular right now, or Android 18, the blue ones with the clone tokens. But obviously it's an issue too, because I think the way this card's worded is because they don't want you to be able to have like a wide board and then also play two big dudes. I can see that being out of control. But it's the fact that your opponent's cards that are on your board also affect you for this. So if they make an errata for this, I think that'd be really cool. And I think it'd help out the deck without making it broken. It just means that you can have a chance against the King Vegeta archetype, and you're not necessarily like, well, shoot, I cannot play this card and I can't awaken the entire game just because my opponent's playing an archetype. So that's my idea there. Hopefully, I can hope that I can wish that they can make a change for that. So we'll see what happens. But I think that's the only thing that's really holding the deck back from being awesome. I think it's still got a really good line from there. And so those are like the I think key parts for it right now. We also put some oobs in this deck too. Just because if you need some self-awakening, that can help you out there as well, especially since it can pop some things too. So like it's a good early card. I'd probably bump this up to 3 after playing it this weekend, just because you want to have a lot of avenues to be able to awaken as soon as possible. It can sometimes be hard to, and this can help you awaken on your opponent's turn too, because you can put your last 3 balls in there and then you can awaken and you can get the extra boost that they're not expecting. So I think that can help you out too. And I think 2 or probably 3 or 4 of this guy after playing it this weekend, but I think he's a good card there. And the last card we want to talk about before we talk about turn 3, because this is still turn 2. So, after you played Allied Reinforcements, your board should look something like this: a Cheelai and a Brolys. Right, and then you have to tap out on turn 2, which kind of sucks tapping out against some decks, especially aggro decks. Can be hard, even though, and because we don't have like a lot of options for that, especially since this is a Wish Leader. We don't get like an untap 2 or a draw 2 to help defend or keep us up. We just get like a lot of card draw to do it. And so the last card I added to this is the Trunks Helping Blast. This card is just really good because it's a blocker revenge, which gets value already, but you can play it for free if you have a red-green out, which you will with the Broly. So I think that just helps you out a lot. It's what you're looking for, and it can be some defense, and it can be some destruction too. So there we go. So this is like what you want to be at the end of turn 2. You want to be awakened, you want to have these 2 guys out, and you want to have this Trunks out. And with the amount of draw and the amount of cycle you get, it's pretty consistent from based on my testing to get there. All right, turn 3. I think this first half of this video is probably just generic core for the deck moving forward in general, and then from there you can kind of decide how you want to build the deck and what engines you want. For me, I decided to go with the Dark Broly Unison and the engine that can kind of go from this. If you've seen like my Cell Surge Hand Destruction decks, this is going to look very similar for you. But I love this Dark Broly, and the reason I decided to choose him is because I was playing this deck a lot, and I'm just like, man, there's so many times where I end turn 2, I've got like a dozen cards in hand, and my opponent has like 6, right? And so what is like the best way to say, go 1 for 1 with these cards to, make my opponent have none with them? So we have this Dark Broly Overwhelming Evil. It has double strike, auto once per turn when a marker is removed from this card by a skill, or a non-keyword skill. This won't work for Spirit Boost stuff that's coming out if you're watching this a couple weeks later, so don't try. But active main, it got on errata. Anyways, active main for +2, choose 1 card in your hand, discard it. If you do, your opponent just chooses 1 card in their hand, discards it, then you choose one of their battle cards and KO it. That's just so much value. You're able to pop 2 of their cards for 1 of your cards. There's going to be like a lot of like potentially dead cards in hand. Like once you use your first Allied Reinforcements, you probably won't play one later, but you totally can. The fact that you can play this late game and still get your 2 bodies out and draw 2 cards is still insane. And you can do it for free if you need to. Anyways, so it's just super good value, and it's a 20k, and it's a double striker. So this just adds pressure and can end the game by itself. So I love this card in the deck, and I think it just makes a lot of sense. You play this turn 3. Yes, you tap out again. I know that sucks. but we don't play a lot of cards that are dependent on using energy, so I think it's fine for what we're doing. Because we're playing that, we got to play this Demon God Deborah. This is a free +1 in the deck. Easy free +1. You just use it, you make your Unison pop a marker, which is fine because you get so many markers on this dang dude. This guy never dies once you get him out. And then you get to cycle out for a 1-star ball, Parasitic Darkness. So, and once this removes a marker, you get your opponent has to discard a card too, so that's fine. All that works well. And since this card also pops things, and you have other ways to pop things too, or even you can just run into guys, I'm putting in Surprise Attack Frieza. So that's just kind of the deal. All this package really works well together in general. So you can get prize freeze out, then you swing. It's a 15k crit, and so it applies pressure there. And then you can put a 1-star ball underneath it, and you get the freeze Dark Infestation. You can swing with it, double strike. You can make your opponent pop another card. All this package is just good, and we get so much card advantage and hand draw with this deck. Anyways, I feel like this was just the natural one to at least try for me, and I think it works really well with the deck. As long as you awaken, you get through where you need to go. I think this works out really, really well. So that's kind of what you're doing turn 3. And then part of that too, if you have your Unison out, you're able to use your also Frieza, Charismatic Villains, and Dormant Potentials to help you get there. And this just helps you get to turn 4 really easily. You just use this, your opponent can't swing any more times, so that can just make it so they can't win this turn. And then Frieza is kind of the same thing. You can just play it and they pop one of their dudes and go from there. I think 3 Dormants is the right call. You just draw a lot with this deck, and seeing more than that can be kind of clumpy. So that's how I felt, and Frieza kind of the same way. Frieza's kind of the same way. So there's that. Going on from there, we have our turn 4. Turn 4 is normally when we win. We can probably win on turn 3 if our opponent's being aggressive enough and we see what we need. And I think I did that once or twice. But a Kind Wish is a great card for what we're doing. It just wipes the board, and if we have nothing on board, which could happen, you get to play a Broly for free. And if you play a Broly for free, then you're able to draw 2 more cards. You can play this for 0 energy by using your opponent's thing. You just wipe their entire board. It gets around barrier. This is a fantastic card for what this leader is. We're only running 2 because sometimes we don't get to turn 4, sometimes we die too quickly, and we already have like a lot of cards that are kind of stuck in hand and can't offer combo power, so Kind Wish felt like was super good. And I used it this weekend, and it just can catch your opponent off guard. It generates value, right? Like your opponent's like, well, if they're going to get rid of cards in my hand, I better play a bunch of things fast on board, and then just boop, it's gone. And it's just really nice. So I think 2 is the right number there. We also have Rosie. Rosie's fantastic for finishing the game too. If your leader card is green or a hero card, when you play this card from your hand, your opponent chooses 2 cards in their hand, discards them. This gains triple attack for the turn. So just being able to put a lot of pressure, 3 swings, and then also, being a 15k, and then also making your opponent discard 2. This just applies a lot of pressure for 3. It has deflect, which is nice, and a lot of the moves that we play are free. So investing 3 for this isn't a huge deal, because we can Kind Wish for free. You do have to sequence these right to make sure your board's empty, and sometimes you have to combo this guy out off, like as for 1, just to have your board empty to play another one and draw 2. It's free pressure though. It's like a free super combo almost, because even though you have to pay 10 for it, you get the value from it. So that's kind of how you end the game. We also have Son Goku Power of Legend and Son Goku Man on a Mission. If you want to play the Bardock that has dual attack, that's probably better than this guy. I just don't have him, so there's that. But the Son Goku can help you out a lot. You have to be careful that your board is empty when it needs to be empty. I think that's like one of the hard things to sequence with this deck. But you can play this for free. It's a 15k crit. And also, it's super easy to make your opponents discard a card. You can just use 1-star ball turn 1. I've done it before, where if I go second and they have like a dude I want off the board, I'll just play 1-star ball, make them discard, play Goku, swing with Goku, and then warp Goku, and then it's fine. I think it's good for what it does. Sometimes it can be stuck in hand, and it sucks to have a combo there, but there's that. We can also use our Broly Unison to make them discard a card and go from there too, so it makes sense and it works out. Even just using Rosie can get that guy out, and the fact that it can trade, like this can get like this can be a 3-for-1 at times, just being able to warp a card, like crit, make them do that, and then make them warp a card. Maybe it's like a 2-for-1. Maybe that's the right number, but there we go. And lastly, for super combos, we've got 2 Paragus and 2 Great Saiyaman. If this was more of an experiment than anything, I think 4 Paragus is probably the right call, especially since you can find Paragus off the Desire. The weird thing about this leader is that it's rare for you to be like under 4, like exactly at 4. Your opponent, a good opponent won't leave you at 4, and so this card does nothing. And the reason I put this guy in here and why I'm interested in him is because if you draw your 4-drop Brolys, then you can't play your desires anymore to get them out for free. And that can be really sucky. So like the idea of just being able to put them back into your deck with this guy was appealing to me, but I just never found it to be worth it enough to do that. So I think defending Father Paragus is better. It's always just a 10k combo too, so even if they leave you at 5 or something, they're trying to give you like a big double strike crit, you can still use defending Father Paragus to save that, but it's fine. But you can find it with the Last Wish too, and I even did that a couple times this weekend too, where I can just use my Last Wish. It gets me not only 2 cards, it pretty much gets me a +3, +4 with it, because I would play it with Cheelai, Limo, and this. I could play both these guys. This lets me draw a card inherently. This is 15k combo power for free, and this lets me like cycle cards and go from there. But you definitely need one of these, because there's just a lot of dead cards in your hand at times, and being able to cycle out the bad cards is too good for this deck to not do. And that is it. That is the list that I ran it this weekend. I think it's in a good spot for what it is. I will definitely say, I think King Vegeta is just an unfortunate hard archetype for this, because you do need, for real, and I said it earlier, I'm just kind of recapping, but this card I think is the way to use this deck. Using this card to awaken on turn 2 moderately consistently is great. And the fact that you can't use this against that archetype is just it's a bad time. It's just a bad time that it's the way it goes, and I wish there was some errata for it. Instead of just if you have no battle cards in your battle area, it says something like if you have no cards that you played in your battle area, maybe that would be better. I think that could be better wording, just because the fact that the deck incidentally loses to them playing them in your battle area is not very helpful. It's just weird, especially with the timing, because set 13 came out, and then they just dropped this 4-drop Broly card out of nowhere for this old archetype that I happen to love, and then just to have it just be really bad against probably an equally meta tournament. I don't think it'd be broken if it was like that, but that's just my opinion. So that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching this. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know. Leave a like for it as well. If we get to 50 likes, I'll re-upload all of my videos. I probably should have put that in the beginning, but we'll go from there. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.